Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lunch table. Today, it's just me and Joel today. Today, we're going to be doing some off-season team breakdowns. We're going to be breaking down every team in the NFL, starting with the NFC NFC North. That's what we're doing today. And we're going to keep kind of chipping away at these teams, but me and Joel today are going to be knocking off the NFC North, which is Lions, Packers, Vikings, and Bears. So lots to talk about there. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and to stay tuned for all of the other offseason breakdown videos we're going to be coming out with as the offseason continues, as we're now in full swing with the offseason. We got NFL free agency starting here soon. The Combine will be starting here in a couple weeks. So starting to get in that off-season groove, and we thought what better way to get into that mindset than kind of just talk about every team. First off, we're going to start with the Detroit Lions. So the Detroit Lions, they went 12-5 this year. They won the NFC North, but they lost in the NFC Championship game in a heartbreaker against the 49ers.
Yeah, big time.
So real quick, we'll just kind of give an overview of their season and give like a grade. For me personally, I think they overachieved a lot. I don't think anybody expected them to be in the NFC Championship game, but they were, and they should have won the game.
They should,
but things happen. But Jared Goff played really well, and I think one of the biggest things was that rookie class that they had with Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, just to name a few. Those are the two big ones.
Brian Branch was in there too on
Brian
the defensive
Branch,
side.
yeah. Like, they just knocked that draft out of the park. All of those guys were key contributors for their team this year, key contributors in the playoffs. Laporta was a top 5 tight end this year. Then they had the two-headed running back room with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, which was deadly. And then you had, like Joel said, Brian Branch, who was their best secondary player at times, because you had guys like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who was out for the majority of the season. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of had a huge breakout year. He was a top 5 receiver this year as well. So kind of a lot of things clicked for them this year, and I think the sky's the limit for them. I think it's really encouraging for Lions fans that you're kind of building something here. We've said that they've got pieces to put it together, and they kind of started to do that this year. And NFC Championship run is a huge confidence boost for that young team, and I'm really excited to see what they could do in the future. But honestly, overall season grade, I'd give them an A. I mean, overachieved and went to the NFC Championship, won their division. There's not really much you can ask for.
I would agree. Heading into this season, there was a lot of speculation, basically, of whether or not they could put together what they ended the season with last year. And I think they did that and some. In my honest opinion, this team that they have right now, it's extremely talented top to bottom. Not a whole lot of holes, really, that I feel are needed. It's a deep team. It's an extremely talented team, too, and young. The one guy you didn't really bring up that was a key factor for their team in getting a pass rush in there was Aiden Hutchinson. Hutchinson had a great season, to say the least. I agree. I think they very well could have one play away from going to the Super Bowl. Like, it was that great of a season this year for them. Overall, though, I mean, you hit on a lot of great points there. Lions, they performed at a stellar level, and that rookie class set the foundation and what they've been trying to build, and it's going to be exciting to see what they continue to build going forward into these next couple of years, because this is, like I said, a very young team, very talented team that has the potential to keep building upon this and continue to make runs into the playoffs if they continue to play their cards right, have the health stay on their side, just to name a few things. I would say an A too. I couldn't agree with you more on that.
Yeah. All right, so this offseason they're dealing with they have $65.7 million in cap space, which is eighth in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we should say before we talk about cap space, the big news that came out today was that the NFL um, upped the cap space for this year by how much?
30 million.
30 million. Yeah, so that gives a lot more flexibility to a lot of different teams. So it kind
If
of
you think about
changes.
if you think about a bunch of these teams that just signed quarterbacks to large extensions this past off
It's
season,
huge.
it's huge. And even if like just think about what it does for those teams that are bringing in a rookie quarterback this year or coming forward or are still on
Mm-hmm.
those rookie deals. Like this is insane to think about the
Yeah,
different potential teams that could be put together with all of that cap space available for these certain teams to work with.
yeah, it's gonna be a fun off season to see what teams do with that extra amount of money that they have, which we weren't expecting.
No,
So because of that, like I said, the Lions have $65.7 million in cap space, which is eighth in the NFL. Um, some of their key free agents that is guard Jonah Jackson, guard Graham Glasnow, safety C.J. Gardner Johnson, and defensive end Romeo Okwara. They have the what is it, 29th pick in the
29th.
draft.
Yep.
Um, and some of their big needs are corner, interior offensive line, uh, and then defensive edge help, and then some wide receiver help as well.
I
So Joel, who do you think the Lions should be targeting in free agency?
in free agency, I'm gonna say first things first. Um, who I think they need to keep. I'm gonna say that first
Yeah,
because there's guys obviously that we think they need to target in the offseason, and that's a given for any team. But more importantly, I think you got to focus in on those guys that are still in there right now that they need to bring back. You brought up that need on the interior of the offensive line, and I feel the biggest guy that they really need to bring back is Jonah Jackson. Like you brought up, Jonah Jackson's a younger. If you had to pick between the two that you listed, Graham Glasnow and Jonah Jackson, I'm bringing Jonah Jackson back. Younger, they're both talented as all get out, and that's why they had one of the best offensive lines in the league. But I think you got to go and focus more on that younger guy. So I would say Jonah Jackson is definitely the keeper, in my opinion. Do you want to go based off keepers first, like the guys they should keep from the team, and go from there? Maybe.
sure.
I think that's a good idea of going to start.
Yeah, we can do that. So yeah, so I think Jonah Jackson. I think he's definitely a key piece to that team. Him being, like you said, his age and his talent, I think is definitely somebody that they should look to sign on long term because, you know, offensive linemen can play for a long period of time, and you want to keep that core of that offensive line core together as long as possible because they're one of the
Mm-hmm.
best in the league. So I think another guy that they should look into bringing back is I know he didn't play as much as they wanted to, but I think they should bring back C.J. Gardner Johnson.
That was my other guy.
I
So
think
I agree.
he's super talented. When he's healthy, I think he's one of the better safeties in the league. The only problem is he's probably going to be asking for a lot of money, so I don't
Yeah.
know exactly how much they're going to be willing to pay him. But I think with that team, one of their biggest needs is secondary. That was one of the holes in their defense was their secondary. And so now, if you re-sign Gardner Johnson, hopefully you get a healthy season from him. You got Branch and Johnson as your safeties, and you're set in that deep secondary for a couple of years.
Yep. I feel those are I we both agree then because those are the two that I had highlighted as well.
Yeah,
So I think you put it perfectly. Um, especially with CJ. I think that's perfect. I know he's definitely gonna be asking for a little more money, but I feel
yeah,
with him being out for the majority of the season last year, that's gonna hinder the amount that he's gonna be able to make though too, which could
yeah,
benefit the Detroit Lions in bringing him back.
definitely.
So in terms of the guys not on the team, I think I'm gonna cover two guys. I'm gonna say two guys. One of them covers that edge rush need that you brought up. And I think a guy that fits really well with that is Leonard Floyd. Like it's not a big time splash type player, but Leonard Floyd has proven that he can be a capable pass rusher in the NFL. Playing with the Rams when they won the Super Bowl was a great opportunity to see how he could work across from a guy like Aaron Donald. And then he was with the Bills this past season, correct?
Yeah.
Even with the Bills, it's just getting this idea of even just having a rotational piece in there, or even a guy to go opposite of Aiden Hutchinson is a big thing to have. I think Leonard Floyd would be a great pickup for them to obtain in this case. And then the other one I'm going to bring up is a guy that comes within the division, and it's going to be Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson from Chicago is probably one of those guys that is going to be, I feel, he's a good DB. He's a good corner. I feel overall, and this is something I was going to highlight a little later on, but I think I'm going to just have to highlight it now. I think that the Bears need to emphasize trying to bring him back. And if you're in the Lions' shoes and you are able to pluck him off of a division rival, I think it's a success from the get-go, and it covers a position of need very well.
Yeah, but you stole who I was going to say. I was going to say they should get Jalen Johnson. I feel like he fits exactly what they need at that corner position. He's a taller guy. He just had a great season for the Bears. And yeah, I think the Bears definitely need to prioritize re-signing him. They could place the tag on him if they don't agree to like a longer term deal. But I think if he does hit the market, I think it's definitely somebody that the Lions should definitely look into.
Yeah.
You're getting one of the premier corners this year who would exponentially help that defense. And yeah, I think he would just kind of fit perfectly into what they have there. And I think another staying with like the edge, because we both agree that that's a pretty big need for them. A little bit on the younger side, I think they could go for a guy like Jonathan Grenard from the Texans.
Okay.
I think you would have Aiden Hutchinson, who's more of your pass rusher, and then Grenard, who was eighth among edge defenders in run stop rate this year. So you can kind of balance that out. Plus, he's a little bit on the younger side. I think he's only like 27 or 26, I think.
That's a great age.
Yeah, and so he kind of fits the timeline of what the Lions have. And yeah, I think he would be kind of a lower end, cheaper option. But I think by the time they re-sign by the time they re-sign everybody they need to, and they'll probably be looking into some extensions with probably like Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The money could get a little bit tighter than, like I said, the 65 or whatever cap space they have. So I think a cheaper option, I think Grenard could fit in well for them.
Well, and that's why I kind of brought up Floyd. I feel
he's definitely a good cheap option.
Not exactly. I feel like that's a good cheap option for them to have. The only other one I will bring up, and I put this name down because I wasn't sure. I kind of had a feeling maybe you would say Jalen Johnson. I'm going to highlight a different corner. What about Chidobe Awuzie?
Yeah.
And that's a cheaper contract to pay too. Mm-hmm. If you are to bring back and extend all these guys, Chidobe Awuzie proved that for a while there before that ACL injury, he was capable of being a lockdown corner on the perimeter. And that's something that they desperately need.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's more of a veteran guy, and he's played in big games. Like he was on that Super Bowl team with the Bengals. So
exactly.
Yeah, he would definitely bring some good experience to that team. And yeah, I think that'd be a good cheap vet option that could really pay out well for them. What about the draft? Who you got them selecting at pick 29?
Pick 29. I feel this is a little tougher because you get to that late round area and you're not sure exactly what's going to be there, what's not. Mm-hmm. One of the big things that I said was, I know we said edge was a need, but I also think interior defensive line, pass rush is a need. And that's why I went Jershawn Newton. Because I feel that they have Levi Onwuzurike, but he is constantly hurt. And drafting a guy like Newton brings in the guy that you were expecting to get there with Levi Onwuzurike. He is a freak athlete, and it's he's violent in getting off his blocks. It's a guy that I feel can make an instant impact for their team. And I think that's the direction I would go. I feel it's something that they could use. We just addressed the edge with Aiden Hutchinson, and then you go across from him, say with a Floyd or Grenard, like you brought up. And then you bring in a guy that comes up the middle, and you get that defensive interior is looking a lot better, and I think it overall would be a beneficial move for them to make.
Yeah, no, I like that. He's a great player and definitely one of the premier defensive tackles in this draft.
Yep.
So I think that would definitely kind of shore up that defensive line, which has already played pretty well this season, but kind of add to that would definitely be a big pickup. For me, I'm gonna go on the secondary side. But obviously, this is a really good DB class.
Yes,
But
fair.
them being at pick 29, they're kind of getting the low end of the litter. Um, so I'm gonna have him getting Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. He's
I'm not
he
kidding. That was my other option.
yeah, we're on the same wavelength.
We are right now.
But going into the season, he was one of the top DBs in this class, and he's kind of slipped down boards a little bit. But I still think he has a lot of potential as a DB. I mean, 6'1", 195. He's got a pretty good frame on him.
Yeah.
He's fluid movements. He's just a really
physical
good.
too.
Yeah, he's a physical, which definitely plays to how Dan Campbell runs his defenses. He likes those physical guys.
Yep.
So I think he would fit in. Yeah, I think he would fit in perfectly right there. He's a little bit of a boomer bust guy, but I think at pick 29, that's what you're looking for as a playoff team. You're looking at guys who you think have the potential to really level up your team.
Your team.
And so I think that secondary being a big need, I think getting a young guy in there would be huge. And another player that I was looking at, if they aren't able to bring back a Jonah Jackson or Glasnow, I think they could target Graham Barton out of Duke. He played tackle at Duke this past year, but he started off as a center and he played guard as well. So he's very versatile, and I think he could be a plug and play guy there at guard if they end up losing one of their two guards, and they think that that's a big need that they need to fill. I like his frame. I think I like what I've seen on him, and I think he would be a really good plug and play for them and kind of add to that already great offensive line that they have.
And I was going to talk about him a little later on, so I'm going to keep a lot of what I have to say for later. But we bring him up, and I've seen him rising up boards, getting into the early 20s, even higher than where we're at right now. So I think that's a great way of highlighting him in this situation too.
Yeah, we'll see if he falls or not. But yeah, Lions got some good moves that they can do, and sky's the limit, really. So.
Yeah, that like I said at the beginning, I think that's one of the most talented teams in the NFL. That they don't have a whole lot of holes to mess with.